All right, welcome back. This is part 2 of Grant's Texas 4000 journey. I hope you enjoy it. I'll be picking it up just a little bit before we left off last time.
This is Analog Spectrum. Your ear holes never had it so good.
Grant's left now. Yeah, sorry, everybody. Yeah.
He took offense to the Elvis joke.
It's not even funny. So see what happens now. I'll put this podcast on. People will be like, I get canceled. Yeah. So you went to the Bass Pro Shop, which is pretty awesome, and you spent a day in Memphis. Where else did you stop?
St. Louis.
Arches.
Went to see the arches actually on the ride into St. Louis and go up them later.
Is that the Golden Arches?
Just the one of them. Just the Golden Arch, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, that's why I asked. That was really subtle humor right there.
That was McDonald's joke. Yeah, it took me a second to get it.
Subtle, subtle, but I don't know if it was humor.
Yeah. Well, you guys said arches, and there's only one, so that's why I was wondering if it was McDonald's you went to see.
It was just McDonald's, singular. So you went to St. Louis. What else?
Chicago.
Okay.
Did you go see the Bean?
We did see the Bean.
It's cool, isn't it? I think
it's
weird.
It is cool.
Yeah.
The Bean?
You know about this?
No.
It's a piece of architecture or, I don't know, sculpture.
It's art.
Yeah, it's art. Yeah. In Chicago. And you just go out and see it in downtown.
It's literally like a giant lima bean, but it's chrome. And it reflects everything around it.
That's interesting. Okay. Yeah. What else?
Yeah. So in Chicago, we saw Abbott, which is one of our sponsors.
Okay.
That was a good time.
The pharmaceutical company.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're our presenting sponsors, so they give us more money than I think any of the other ones.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool. And we visited a Texas 4000 alumni there. So this is somebody who rode like probably 6 or 10 years ago, something like that. And he, funny enough, this is one of the stories that's going to stick with me for a while, I can tell. He had done a 2-year bikepacking trip with his wife for their honeymoon. And I thought that was the coolest thing. So they started in Europe and crossed all of Asia by the end of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Psychist.
Yeah,
Psycho, man.
I know, right? Yeah. You meet a lot of bikepackers on the trip.
I bet.
Yeah. Especially in like the Yukon area, Alaska area, because people will do Montana to Alaska very frequently, or the reverse, and they'll do Alaska to South America very frequently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or relatively frequently, at least.
Well, you guys must have experienced this. This is a motorcycle relation sort of comment here, but one of the things that we talk about a lot as motorcyclists is it's a really cool pastime, hobby, I don't know what you call it, when you travel far on a bike. Because when you stop at a gas station, you take some time to slow down and get off the bike, and because you can't like shift around like you can in the car and eat M&Ms and drink and listen to the radio. You can't do any of that stuff, so you're kind of limited. So typically you're at a gas station for a little longer than normal, but people come up to you and they ask you, hey, where are you going? Where are you going? Especially if you're loaded down, right? And I think that's something that you miss in a car when you travel by car, because you oftentimes now you just get out, pump your gas, get back in the car and go, right? Unless you got to pee, you go inside or whatever. But so I think there's a whole missing element when you travel that way that you don't get. And you guys must have experienced that. I mean, especially on bikes.
Well, it's amplified because you have like 20 people rolling up at one gas station at a time, potentially.
I bet.
Right. Or the trailer that says fighting cancer on it.
Right, yeah.
And people will always come up to you pretty much every gas station. I will say yesterday I came from Austin to San Antonio on my bike, and I was surprised that somebody stopped me at a gas station and asked me what I was doing. So it still happens even if you don't have the jersey on. Yeah, he's like, wait, what are you doing out here? He was the person who was at the front of the gas station, and he came out to smoke a cigarette, and he asked me why I was biking, or where I was going that day.
Or something?
No, I was just like,
what are you doing?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like you on your motorbike.
What are you doing? I'm hitting on your daughter.
You got a sister?
Yeah.
So it had nothing to do with cycling.
Yeah, right. No, but that's a cool part of it.
It is cool. It's a great part of the experience. Yeah,
it's right. Really good.
Yeah.
Like
and so every time we see a bike packer on the road, like we have to stop and ask them what they're doing. Because it's so much fun.
There's no doubt that like with cyclists, it's weird, because like when you're cycling and you pass somebody coming the other way, there's almost like this, I don't know. You may wave, you may not, but like if you stop and have a conversation with a cyclist, there's definitely a bond.
A connection,
Yeah, there is a connection.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. But I forget we digressed again.
No. Yeah, so we left Chicago. We were going across North South Dakota.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We missed one of my favorite days of the ride was in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, which is there's like an F1 or like a NASCAR racetrack there.
Oh, shit.
That's why people might know that
Okay.
area. But we went there because one of the riders had family. Okay. And we ended up going there. They had a big party for us, lots of drinks and Mexican food. It was a great time.
Nice.
And then the next morning, we swam across their lake that they have there.
Just out of curiosity,
cool.
Mexican food, any more fucked up tamales?
No, we avoided tamales as much as possible.
Fucked up puke tamales?
Yeah, that was... No,
Nice.
we love Mexican food when we could get it. And in fact,
I bet.
at the finish line, the Texas X's chapter there in Anchorage had us Mexican food. It was awesome.
That gives me chills, bro. I'm so happy to hear
Nice.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm sorry. You said you were at the lake. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the funny story about the lake is the deal was we have breakfast for you, but it's on the other side of the lake. So you can either jump in the boat if you're a weenie and go across, or you can swim across.
I know what
And
Grant did.
I'm thinking to myself, hey, I biked to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin from Austin. Like I can swim a little bit.
I said, did you like rip it off and go like Grant, no pussy? And just went to it?
And then jumped right in.
Jump right
No, I did not do that. Well, the thing is, I can swim. I won't drown, but I'm not a swimmer the way that some people on the ride are. Some people
Okay.
have been swimming since they were 4.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But I jumped in the water. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go as fast as I can and get this over with.
Right.
And I get halfway through, and I'm like, I'm breathing hard.
Cold?
No, the water was pretty warm.
Okay.
I'm breathing hard. Like, oh, this is not good. I'm gonna drown. Like, what? Oh, why did I do this? It's like a half-mile swim. It's
Yeah,
like it's nothing
far.
to sneeze at.
Yeah.
And I turn around. There's a boat there. The boat that was carrying the other people across, and they've identified me as somebody that needs help.
Yeah, right.
What about liability?
Yeah.
Were you a liability? They just had to do the cockroach?
Yeah, not quite. And so I get into the boat, and I'm like, they're like, do you need help?
shit.
And I'm like, yes. And so I get in the boat, and by the way, I sit down, and I
That's
check
awesome.
my pulse is like 180.
Oh!
I'm like, I just got sagged out, and I needed it.
Oh,
And I felt embarrassed for a second before I realized that my best friend on the ride, he was in there too, and I was like, I lasted longer than your soggy ass. Like, here we go.
Shit, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're like I'm a cyclist, not a triathlete.
Yeah,
Screw
right.
that.
Yeah, well, now all of us that couldn't finish, we're thinking to ourselves, all right, I'm going to go train, because we're super competitive people. Like, I'm
Sure.
going to go get swim
Were
lessons.
you always competitive, or did this ride bring it out of you?
Well, I've always been competitive, but
Okay.
it brought it out of me as well. It's
Gotcha.
a combo there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get across. Was breakfast good?
Breakfast was great.
Nice,
Yeah.
beautiful. But I've been to Wisconsin once. It is a really beautiful state.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
one of my favorites. A lot of people felt the same. Yeah.
Nice.
Great beer in Wisconsin, too.
Of course.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. A lot of that's where a lot of beer. I mean, there's a lot of beer. Like,
And cheese.
Yes,
cheese.
cheese too.
Gotta
Yeah.
love the cheese. Yep.
America's Dairy. That's what it says on their license plate. Yeah.
yeah, man, and I am a fan of it.
Yep.
So,
So you crossed the border from there?
No, not Wisconsin. We crossed the border in North Dakota.
North Dakota, okay.
Right. So South Dakota, the story there is we had gotten locally brewed beer in every state. That was like one of the challenges that we're going to do just for fun, just to keep things, have a little variety. And
slamming on the brakes for a second. Were you a beer drinker prior to?
not really. Like I, beer time to time, but doing the ride and going to the breweries is like you start to know the difference between a lager and a pilsner and things like that.
Sure.
That was awesome.
Ales and all that.
Exactly.
IPAs, whatever.
Yeah, Memphis had a great brewery, by the way. Those were my
course
favorite
they
parts. Yeah.
Nice.
Can I digress? You brought this up. I got to say it.
Go ahead.
My wife and I were at a restaurant. This is completely, almost 100% unrelated, except for the beer thing.
Well, then no.
Okay, so we're at a restaurant, and we had just come back from Germany. I
Okay.
was drinking a lot of Pilsner over there, and I liked it. And so I asked the waitress. I said, "Hey, man, you guys got the Pilsner?" I'm looking at the menu. It just doesn't say. And she goes like, "I don't even know what that is."
Where were you?
In Colorado.
Oh, okay.
And
Weird.
And I'm like, "Really? Well, can you ask the bartender?" And she's like, "No, the bartender's not going to know."
A Pilsner?
That's what I said. I'm
Wow.
like, "Okay," and we left.
Well, almost all
Well,
beer.
that's-
Well, okay. Well,
yeah.
almost all beer. Almost all like Budweiser's a Pilsner.
Yeah, I know. That's
Yeah.
my whole freaking point.
Yeah, I mean Pilsner's a Czechoslovakian beer.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
she had no clue, and she was sure that the bartender wouldn't know. So
That's weird. I don't think she understood.
I went to McDonald's.
And you got a Pilsner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. You said Pilsner, and that it just rang a bell. Sorry.
Yeah.
You can cut that out, Tony. So.
No, we're gonna roll with that.
Yeah.
Nothing's getting. This is so far so good.
Okay.
So, South Dakota beer.
South
Go.
Dakota, couldn't find a beer.
What?
Yeah, so we stayed at
Let's get
a
the
little
fuck out of this
a
state.
little town. It was in an Indian reservation named Lake Traverse, I want to say.
Okay.
And you can imagine it's like a Tuesday night. We got 10 young college students coming into somebody's dive bar, just like, hey,
my
can we get a
word.
locally brewed beer? And they're like, guys, we got Corona and Bud Light, and that's it. And like, please leave.
I think Corona's
was the
also a
unspoken
Pilsner.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were not happy to have us.
Did you get the weird vibe? Like they
Oh,
were
huge. Yeah, hugely weird vibe.
wow.
They just didn't want us there.
Outsiders, yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, we ended up leaving. We went to a sports bar where we just left immediately, and we went to a little dive bar, and we talked to the bartender there for a little bit, but yeah, we couldn't find locally brewed beer. And that was the one state that we couldn't get it.
Wow.
And I just want to make sure that everybody understands that Texas 4000 isn't welcome in South Dakota.
It's true.
I
they hate us
know,
there.
do they actually brew beer in South Dakota?
They do.
Honestly,
It's just
I've been to South Dakota. It's actually a pretty nice state.
yeah, they have beer there. It's just not in a town that small,
Oh, I see.
and not on a Tuesday night. At some small bar. Yeah.
But it is interesting. I do love the idea that you guys all came rolling into a bar.
Yeah, and it was myself, my friend, my buddy, who's older than me and taller than me, and like the two of us kind of fit in a little bit at a bar, but then it was like 5 or 6 like 21-year-olds, just like we rowdy,
Right.
Just 'cause we just come out for a long ride. It's like no, this is like not the energy that they want here.
Sure.
Handful of people in Lycra. You're like, we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd say also there's a joke in there, by the way. If anybody wants to finish this for us, I don't have a punchline, but Texas 4000 walks into a bar. I don't have a punchline, but if anybody does, please share.
God, that was lame.
Do it, yeah.
I was lame because I don't have a punchline.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
what are
all
you,
right.
Bob Dylan? Okay.
I don't even know what that means. So all right. But no local beers in South Dakota.
Right. North Dakota was great though. We stayed at a winery on the day before we crossed the border.
Okay.
So we had, by the way, North Dakota winery. Like most people would scoff at that. Like, what's going on there, right?
Matter of fact, I was about to scoff.
Right.
Okay.
Scoff incoming.
Not now, because I have a feeling you're going to slap me back.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Was it?
The wine was not bad. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So did you stay at a winery?
We did. Yeah.
That's cool.
It was one of my favorite locations that we stayed at.
What was it like?
Small. It was
And
small, but the people
small.
were really nice, and the wine was pretty good.
So they were like a home host?
Pretty much, yeah. We stayed, within the place where they manufactured the wine. It was
Okay.
fun. Yeah.
Were they I mean, like you were actually in the place where they like squeezed
Yeah, where
the
they
grapes?
actually squeeze the grapes. Like
Wow.
that area.
Wow.
Yeah.
And okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so, as far as crossing states, how many days did it take you to cross, on average, to cross a state?
I mean, North Dakota took us maybe 3 days.
Okay.
Arkansas a couple days. Yeah, so like 2 to 3.
Okay. And then, and again, every seventh day you were sagging, you were driving.
Right.
Okay. All right. And you're or sagging or you were getting ice cream. We've already established that.
Both.
So I want to know about the border crossing. How'd that go?
Yeah, how'd it go?
Fine. It was really fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you say a lot? I'm gonna come to your country,
Say sorry.
Yeah.
No,
Sorry.
from time to time we get that. We had a bit of a cold welcome to Canada, actually.
What?
Yeah. So the border crossing was fine. No
Okay.
problems there. We had a great dinner that night, and then we roll into a campsite. For some reason, we were camping in Winnipeg, which is actually a big city.
Okay.
Yeah, like I say actually because usually at big cities we have a host, and it's really easy to find a host. But there we didn't for some reason.
Okay.
And we're camping, and apparently we're kind of loud that night because the next morning somebody revved their motorcycle engine and said, "This is fucking Canada. Show some respect. You're not in America anymore."
Really?
It was just like really mad, and we thought, "Oh wow, is this what Canada's gonna be like?" But no,
yeah.
no, on the roads everybody's so nice. It's like
They probably get that a lot from just being close to the border.
Well, it's
Yeah,
that
yeah.
isn't because everybody talks about how Canada's super polite.
right. No, it was crazy. This is not what I expected at all. But then on the
Right.
roads, people were nicer than they are in America, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. On that note, and Doug and I talk about this in a podcast that either is coming or you've already heard it. I've always kind of wondered about that because people talk about how people, when I mentioned that I was moving back to Texas, that people are like, "Oh my God, people are going to be terrible." But I've never had any other than what we talked about, where we almost got hit head on. And then even that woman was nice. She
was
came
nice,
back.
yeah.
She came back and apologized. But But I've never had issues. Did you have any huge issues with cars?
In Texas, yes.
Did you really?
Yeah. Well, we ride a lot over the training semester.
Okay.
Yeah, we did like 2,000 miles.
During training.
During training, yeah, we had issues. There's been rides where people, like, I had somebody tail me and then come up to my left and, like, say, get off the road.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, because, I mean, that day in particular, we had been biking on a road where we were, like, we weren't holding up traffic, but we were annoying a lot of people because we were going slow and they couldn't get around us. There's no shoulder.
Were you riding double?
We were riding double and there's no shoulder. And, like, riding double is actually the right thing to do there because it's safer.
It is.
You don't want to get hit by a car. The trade-off there is you will make cars mad because they can't pass you.
But it will make people slow the fuck down.
Yeah.
So can I just put out a public service announcement? And if you see bicycles, shut up.
Yeah.
You know, like, don't be an idiot, man. These people are doing something healthy.
Right.
You know, so put your taco down.
Right. I'm sorry. I always like to say, I'm sorry that I'm interrupting your happy motoring.
Yes.
You know,
don't get me started. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. So other than any place else, did you have issues?
By and large, not a lot of issues. Yeah. But in Canada, the difference is if you get a honk from somebody, it's not a get off the road honk. It's more of a, oh, wow, you're in Canada, eh? Like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So happy to see you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So we biked along just a couple highways in Canada. There aren't that many highways that you can take through rural Canada. And always we'd see, trucks, just like in America. And whenever they honked, sometimes it was cute. They have little honks that do like a little song for you. That'd be fun.
Nice.
Or like you could go and you could move your hand down that honk motion that everybody knows.
Traditional,
Yeah, and you could get lots of trucks to honk for you. That'd be like a little game for us. Yeah.
So when did the mosquitoes get out of hand?
Mosquitoes got out of hand in Saskatchewan. And in
Yukon
and Alberta.
Are we there yet? Or do we need
we're not quite there yet. I mean, in Saskatchewan, that was the territory they went to after Manitoba, which is where Winnipeg is.
Okay.
We visited Saskatchewan. That'd be the big city, which is not the capital. The capital is actually Regina. And there were lots of puns made about Regina. Originally, we thought it was,
like Doug and I, when you said that, we like looked at each other. Like, here it comes.
Yeah. Originally, we thought it was Regina or Regina.
It's not.
We got corrected by a local, and we're like,
Regina.
"You sure it's Regina?" All right.
What does it rhyme with?
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't rhyme with anything. Turns out, nothing. Not a damn
Nothing
thing.
at all.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
Regina's the capital, but Saskatchewan's the bigger city. That's where we spent our rest day.
Regina is the bigger city?
Regina's the smaller city.
Got it.
Yeah.
It's right next to Pewterous.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh,
What?
man.
It
Softball.
is. Look at the map.
I'm just
God.
softball. Yeah.
right next to Fallopian Tube.
All right. That's
All right, whatever. I'm not cutting it.
Yeah,
I'm leaving it in.
Leave
Do
it.
it. Yeah,
Don't
do
even
whatever
try
you
to-
want.
You're the editor.
I am definitely the editor. Okay, so you were in Regina.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Then after Saskatchewan was probably Alberta.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And the fun host that we had in Alberta was this guy named Rick. And the story here is that I was on SAG. I had sagged out because my stomach was hurting. And so you do what you got to do. Which, by the way, a little bit of backstory there. We had drank lake water that night. And the reason for that is we had asked locals hey, everybody's really thirsty. We just rode 100 miles. What do y'all drink here? We're about 50 miles away from the nearest gas station. What's the deal? And they're like, oh, well, at this campsite, just everybody drinks lake water.
Drink out the lake, eh?
I don't know.
Hey, everybody!
I don't know if that's what did it, but
I would like to shit myself blind. What should I do?
Yeah,
I like how he said his stomach hurt.
yeah, my stomach hurt.
I would like to shit to the point where I pray for death. What should I do? Drink the lake water. Thank you.
It was rough. Yeah, it was a rough couple days there.
I bet.
I'm speaking from experience. I know exactly what you're
Those
talking
Canadians are like, hey, I just told another tourist to drink the lake water.
about. That's 5 this week, man.
Dude,
Yeah.
he's out there lapping at it like a dog. I'm the best. All right, so you drank the lake water.
Drank the lake water, had bad stomach issues, and then was on support that day. So that's how that came about. And we go to this gas station because the thing about Alberta is that if you find a gas station, you're stopping because there's not that many of them.
so few, yeah.
There's so few. And so we
Makes
go to this
sense.
gas station. I'm using the restroom. I come out, and this guy, he's like 6'3", 6'4", tall guy, very
Wow.
skinny, lanky fellow. He's got grease all over him. He's wearing overalls. Trying to paint you a picture here. I'm like, who are you? And well, what he says to me is, hey, are you with the Texas 4000 group? And I'm like, yeah, I am. He's like, look up there. And he points at the ceiling. And on the ceiling was a jersey from 2004 that was signed by all the riders.
Oh, cool. That's very
Yeah.
cool.
And it turns out this guy, Rick, he had been a host since the beginning.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
And he starts tearing up. And I remember this is like a pretty hardy fellow. So it's kind of crazy to see this guy, as emotional as he was. He said, I've been a host all these years and you didn't contact me this year. Turns out that there had been just some issue with the phone number or the email or something like that.
Right.
And we just hadn't been able to reach out to him to get him to host us.
Okay.
And so immediately we called the other people who are on support, and we ended up getting them to take down our tents at the dumb campsite we were going to stay at.
Okay.
Right.
And bring them over to his place because he has
Cool.
an RV park connected with this gas station.
Super cool.
That is
Yeah.
very cool.
And this guy, his deal is he had all these instruments laying around, and whenever Texas 4000 came into town, he would have us play the instruments for him because he loved music.
Oh, okay.
And so we played.
Like what? Like what kind of instruments?
So he had a trumpet, a flute, a guitar, a ukulele. Those are the ones that I remember. Also an accordion, but nobody played that.
So you guys played the other stuff? There are people that played trumpet. You played the trumpet.
I played the trumpet. So we had this this fun moment where my
course you
friend, my buddy Dayton, he was playing guitar and I was playing trumpet and we did Rings of Fire.
Oh, sweet.
Oh my! That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Super cool.
And
Yeah.
you
That
can
sounds
imagine
amazingly cool.
This guy Rick, he loves a big campfire too. So we had this huge campfire going. We're doing Ring of Fire. Dayton played some Bob Dylan tracks. Like it was great. We had a nice night with him.
Nice.
Yeah.
At one point, we had fireworks going on, and Rick comes over to me and says, "How much do you think I care? There's other people staying at this RV park right now. It's 1 a.m. We're doing fireworks. How much?" He's like, "Not at all. 0."
That's funny.
Yeah.
God, that's a memory forever.
Yes. Yeah. We stayed with Rick on the way back too.
Okay.
Yeah, we stopped off at his
So,
place. Yeah.
so you saw him. He was a little bit sad because you hadn't reached out to him, and then you guys mended that fence.
Exactly.
That's great.
Yep. That's how it's supposed to be.
That's life, man.
Yep.
That's amazing.
It's exactly
That's a
how
great
you're
story.
supposed to do stuff. Yep. Cool.
Yeah. And so, so you guys spent time with him, and where were you?
We were in Alberta. It's basically on the side of the road, this gas station.
Okay. And
I
you,
couldn't tell you the town that's closest.
and you were going to camp, but now you're at his place.
But now we're at his place.
And was his place, was it camping? Or were you?
Yeah, we had tents set up, but it's an RV park. On the way back, we stayed in a cabin. This guy had built out the whole place by himself. He was
Wow.
a really impressive person. He used to be a cowboy. It turns out, by the way, Canada is more like Texas than you might have thought.
I believe it. Especially over there.
Sorry?
Especially on that side of the Canada.
Yeah, especially in Alberta.
Yeah.
I think it's called the Texas of Canada.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Calgary has a road. No, it's kind of like a rodeo. It's called the Stampede.
Right.
They do that every year. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
In Alberta, we stayed in a small town named Mooseman, and it was like population 2,000. We were staying at an ice hockey rink, funny enough, and in our backyard there was a rodeo going on, like a full-on let's ride some bulls kind of rodeo.
Wow.
So that night we drank some beers and we headed out and we watched the rodeo. It was like a
Sweet.
really cool host location.
Fun.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, I was like, did I bike anywhere? I thought we went to Canada. This
Yeah,
feels
right.
like Texas.
Right.
Yeah.
That's, and what was the weather like and all that?
It was pretty good.
Beautiful.
Yeah, 70s or 80s, like for the
Nice.
most part. Sometimes it got hotter, sometimes colder. You asked about the mosquitoes, though.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah, so that happened in Swift River, which I want to say was in the Yukon or in Alberta.
Okay.
In the northwest Canada. And these mosquitoes were just awful. I'll show you videos and pictures later, but I mean, if you stop to change a flat tire, it's like you got people like fanning you. It was that bad. And we had a rest day there, and I was not alone in not wanting to ever leave my tent that rest day because the mosquitoes were so bad. Like you go outside and they just bombard you, and they were bold. They'd go for your face. They'd
will,
go for your
yeah.
hands.
Were you wearing like off or any kind of repellent?
Yeah, we had repellent, and that helps. It definitely helps. But the way to do it is you need to have pants on, you need to have a bug net around your face, and you have long sleeves and gloves.
Yep.
And
If you have
go.
all of that, you can actually tolerate it. But still, the sound drives you crazy. Like it's constant, dude. It's nonstop. Yeah. It's great.
Where were you when you were doing that? Doug, I'm talking to Doug.
Yeah. So we were in near. Hold on. I can't think of it. It's north of Seattle.
Oh, Vancouver.
Vancouver, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, we were up around that area, and then we went a little bit east, and you get out into the wilderness, and it was, and it's funny because it's not always like that. It's like there's a mosquito season, and we just got lucky enough to hit that. So,
Shit.
yeah.
So I have never experienced anything like that. Yeah. So you survived the mosquitoes.
Right. And the big city there is Edmonton.
Yeah.
You're right. And that's where we met.
Isn't that where Rush is from?
I don't know.
Is it?
I'm gonna look it up. You guys keep talking.
Yeah, that's where we met the former Tour de France rider.
Before you get too far,
yesterday. Yeah.
About 50% of our podcasts talk about Rush. So
It's true, man.
So just welcome to Analog Spectrum. Rush is going to come up, and in a few minutes, we're going to start ignoring you and talk about how awesome Rush is. Okay, so that's going to happen. Sorry, Grant, you got to have this. But until then,
yeah. So we had this guy come talk to us while we were at CGI, which is a consulting firm which sponsors us. I'm going to try to look up his name while I'm talking.
Okay.
But this man had done the Tour de France when he was younger. He'd been a member of the 7-Eleven team.
Yeah.
And he told us about how he had survived cancer and got on to continue to do bike races and stuff like that.
Uh-huh. So he was a Tour de France rider before he had cancer or after he had cancer?
He was a cyclist before and after. So he got cancer whenever he was older. Okay, this guy's name is Alex Stida.
Alex who?
Stida.
Alex Stida. Okay.
Yeah. And so he had done Tour de France whenever he was probably like 20 years old. Yeah, when he was very young. And he got cancer whenever he was like 45 or 50.
And that would be the 7-Eleven team was the 80s.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me.
I think so. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so he came not only to talk to us that day that we had the rest day in Edmonton, but the next morning when we were riding out, he rode with us and he wore a 7-Eleven kit and everybody was geeking out about that.
Yeah, I can't remember. I want to say, yeah, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, I say they could have been in the 70s too, but I'm pretty sure it was the 80s. But yeah, how was he? What was he like?
He was super cool. Yeah, he was really humble about everything. Whenever I talked to him, he hadn't introduced himself yet. So my first conversation with him, he was just like, "Oh, you're cycling. That's cool. How's the summer been?" Right. That kind of thing. And I asked him what he does. He was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm a tech consultant." Because that's what he's done after his cycling days, or after his professional cycling days.
Is he cancer free now?
He is cancer free.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so, and we've talked a lot about a lot of stuff, but getting kind of back on the kind of the theme of the Texas 4000. What kind of an impact did you see about when it came to your presentations about cancer? Did you have any moments where you were like I've talked to these people and people have said things to you or anything like that?
Of course, that always happens. People come up to you and say, "Thank you for sharing your story." That's happened to me personally a couple times, and I can see it happen with other writers as well. The favorite presentations have been the ones where people have asked questions afterwards and they want to know all about the organization and how the ride's been. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I can say more than that, other than it's always been fun to connect to the communities that we get to see. Yeah, it's
powerful, man. It really is. I mean, I know we're kind of joking around, but and I'll tell everybody now, I'm a cancer survivor. So I mean, even to have that is and it's weird, because I don't think about it on a daily basis, but I know what kind of impact cancer can have on a family and all that. So
there's very few families that haven't been affected by cancer in some way, shape, or form. I lost my brother to cancer a couple years ago. Yeah,
I remember that, and to me, it was shocking.
Yeah.
And we've had podcasts where we've talked about your brother.
Yeah,
and. I mean, it's powerful, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's a huge mission, and I know you had a lot of fun, but damn, what you did, so you survived the mosquitoes,
right?
And from there,
so the next big thing that happened is that these two routes that we had the whole summer end up meeting up.
Oh, you guys merge,
right? Yeah. And so at Rick's place, this happened a little bit prematurely. We were supposed to meet up on day 60, but at Rick's place, we were sitting there in the morning eating our pancakes, and I hear some screaming from the parking lot, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, this means one of two things: either the van's broken down again, or it means Sierra's caught up with us.
And we says the van broken down, not the German van.
Yes,
no, that one would never. Yes. The Sierra, as I told you earlier, there's only like one or two highways in that area of Canada, so if Sierra's going to the same place that we are, which they are, they're on the same highway.
Sure, yeah.
So we're very cognizant that they're just like 30 miles behind us.
Right.
And so they kind of bunny hopped us that day.
Really?
Because we got off to such a late start. I think we ended up going past them at some point, but it doesn't really matter. What ended up happening is that morning they saw our vans. They were stopping for gas because that's what you do in Alberta. and they stopped us, saw our vans, and they came to say hi. So we had this moment where everybody was like hugging and laughing and sharing stories, and then they went off and they did their own thing for a couple more days.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Which is super funny, but you only have host locations set up at particular times, so you're not gonna like waste a day, or you're not
Sure,
gonna hang
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you got to be where you got to be.
Yeah,
so
stay on schedule,
They went
yeah.
and did their thing.
Of course.
So we end up meeting up with them finally at Whitehorse, which is one of the bigger towns before you get into Alaska.
Okay.
And we had a rest day there. It was fine. It was fun. The thing about the two routes merging is that over the course of the summer, you have different cultures develop across the two routes.
Okay.
And in particular, the leadership styles were different among the two teams. So with Sierra, it was more of like a laissez-faire, like where we're going to let you do your own thing for the most part. During the day, the people who are driving the support vehicles, they're calling the shots. And the ride directors, these are the three people who were on leadership formally for each team. Those are not really getting their hands dirty with those kinds of decisions. It's like, what time are we going to wake up? Are we going to have to sag out the entire team for this spot, or like are road safe for that spot? That was more like the people on support, that was their deal. Whereas for Ozarks, it was very much the RDs and having like a top-down hierarchical approach to leadership. So every night we would debrief like how the day had gone and how tomorrow's probably going to go, like what things we have to look out for, when do we need to be where, what time do we need to wake up, that kind of thing. And the concern on both sides was, whenever we merge, are these two leadership styles going to mesh well, or are we going to have issues where Sierra wants to do things one way, be more laid back, and Ozarks wants to be more on a tight schedule? And that was the concern.
Okay. And then you guys had, what, like 10 days together at the end?
Exactly. We had 10 days. So we had day 60 through day 70.
How'd it work out?
It worked out fine. Ozarks got a little bit more relaxed, which was fun and good and necessary, actually. And Sierra, I wouldn't say they got more uptight or anything, or that they were better at getting in on time or something like that. But like their route culture kind of matched with ours, and it was a little bit more like day before we're going to plan a little bit more better.
Right.
Yeah.
I have two questions, and one I should have asked at the beginning, but I'm going to go. I don't want to forget it, so I want to ask it. Like why Texas to Alaska? I mean, why do they come up with the Texas to Alaska thing?
Well, there's the race across America, which
Right.
goes
Yeah,
from
Ram.
east to west coast. Right?
Very familiar with it. Yeah.
That's really cool, but it doesn't start in Austin.
No, it starts in Santa Monica.
Right. So the person who had started Texas 4000 said, I want to do something epic, but I want to start in Austin, where the University of Texas is.
Okay.
So hence we get Texas 4000.
Yeah, and so it was just something epic.
Right.
Something
Exactly.
epic.
Something
go
to raise
Alaska.
money. Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. And the second question was, now you're further along. Did you just? And I imagine I know the answer to this, but I just want to ask you so everybody's aware. I mean, how did you feel like your ability on the bike changed during this time?
Some people got much more athletic. Like I know one of my best friends, I came to see him on day 16. I was like, whoa, your legs just got so much bigger. And he was stronger on the bike. He was faster and all that. I did not see that much change in my cardiovascular health or like the strength of my legs. I know I did get stronger. Don't get me wrong.
Dude, you look different, man.
Okay, well there you go.
Yeah, you look skinnier.
That's one person's
but not
opinion.
in a bad way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like the biggest physical change for me is like my beard grew out. Like I don't think
Dude,
anything else.
The beard is, and I'm gonna tell everybody, we'll take a picture. The beard is fucking epic.
Oh, thank you.
It looks good, dude. It really does look good. Go ahead.
Yeah, my resting heart rate didn't change. If anything, I was looking at the stats yesterday. So I have this Garmin watch that tells me my heart rate. Resting heart rate, like it actually went up a little bit during the summer.
Really?
Yeah, because you're training so hard, you're not giving yourself time to recover. So you're not going to see improvements unless you're starting at a place that's you're not super cardiovascular fit, and then like you're doing all this exercise. Like of course you're going to get better.
Right.
Or like I think there are people who are much more athletic than me going into it, and so they're like they didn't need as much rest as I did, so they're able to improve more. I think I was maybe in that middle ground where it's just like just kind of like flatlined the whole summer. And that's fine. Like I was able to complete the rides. I was one of the faster riders. It was great, but like I didn't come out of it like, oh wow, now I'm like some stud that's gonna go do the Tour de France.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and again, we may talk about
Clearly
this.
not going to do a triathlon because after the swimming
Swimming
story.
thing.
Well, yeah, with
Sounds
some
like
issues with the swimming thing. Yeah,
Well,
it's a
like
different ball
swims-
game there.
Is there a kiddie pool in this triathlon? I'm just asking because I've got some issues.
He swims like a fat asthmatic kid. But cycling, amazing,
yeah,
amazing.
awesome,
But,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I can do the century on the triathlons, like no problem.
Swimming, it's embarrassing. So it swims like a rock.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to ask. I want to make sure those questions got asked. But so the teams come together, and now you guys are riding together. And I asked this only because I know my brother, your father, mentioned this, that you like noticed that there was people like on the Sierra team that had become like monsters on the bike. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. So there were 4 riders in particular, 2 of whom I rode Pikes Peak with last week. And Pikes Peak is this 14er in Colorado, near Colorado Springs, that's always done on the Rockies route, which didn't happen this year. So on the way back, some of the people who drove the support vehicles back said, okay, I was on Rockies, then that route got cut. I had to do Sierra or I had to do Ozarks. I need to do Pikes Peak whenever I go through it. And I'm on board. I was always on Ozarks, but I'm on board. I'm going to do it with them. And it was 6,500 feet over 18 miles. And it went from 8,000 to 14,000 feet elevation.
it's insane.
Like really, really hard ride. And we just had a blast doing it. So
Gets cold up there, doesn't it?
It does get cold. It hailed on 2 of the people who did it that day. It didn't hail on me though. There was ice not on the road, but on the side of the roads.
It didn't
does
hail
get
on
cold.
you because you were crushing it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Going so fast, the hail couldn't keep
Yeah, I
up.
was like basically didn't want to touch you because it came down and melted.
That's right.
You're so hot.
Dude, it's smoking.
Hey, did
Steven.
they, just a side note, did they finish that visitor center up there?
No, it's still under construction.
Still under construction?
Yeah,
It's been like that for years, yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So we jumped all over. We jumped way ahead there. So the teams came together.
Tony's so strict, isn't he, on the timeline?
I just want to make sure that
He
we're
is.
yeah,
It's
but
just
no,
like-
no. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't want to miss anything.
Let me say though that I would never have been able to do that ride on day 1. So it's like something did happen to me athletically.
Sure,
It just
No.
wasn't as apparent as other people.
You're noticeably a different person. In
But
in the best
let me
possible
keep
way.
going though.
Yeah.
So the 2
I
people
will
who
tell
are
you if you
those.
can keep going. Okay.
Okay.
Let's just pump the brakes.
I'm just gonna keep
everybody,
going.
okay?
All right.
At
So-
8:37 a.m., what exactly
Yeah,
happened
respect-
again?
I tell you what. Okay, for one, Doug, shut the fuck up. Grant, respect your uncle.
Okay, I'll
So
go get
anyway,
the bourbon.
I need some bourbon.
We're gonna cut you off, man.
That's right.
Oh my god, you sound like my wife. Anyway, so your teams came together.
Wait. I was
Oh
on Pikes
fuck!
Peak.
All right, go ahead.
All right. So on the topic of those stud athletes on the Sierra team,
Yeah.
there was somebody who did the Pikes Peak 6,000 feet over 20 miles in less than 3 hours. Did it like 2 hours 45.
Wow.
Yeah, and I did it in like 3 hours 40.
Well, how fast did you do it?
They did it in 2 hours 40.
And okay, that's impressive.
Really fast.
That's impressive. Yeah.
And I did it in 3 hours and 40.
And it's one thing to say like what you say 65, 6,500.
Right.
Yeah, but that's not the thing. That's not.
Oh, that's not the challenge. The challenge is the altitude.
challenge is the
Yeah.
altitude. Is it
Yeah.
14,000
It's pretty
feet?
thin up there.
No,
Yeah.
I mean even like the highest point. I remember like the highest point in Washington was Mount Rainier. You look at that thing and you're like, holy shit, that's really high. I think Mount Rainier is below. Is I know it is. It's below 14,000 feet,
Really.
It's 12 something, I think.
something like that. Yeah. So yeah, that's a lot. That's altitude.
Yeah.
That's
Well, we've been. I used to live right near there, and we've been up there in June and July, and it's snowing up there. So
Right.
it's,
Yeah, it was snowing in August when I
Yeah.
did it. Yeah.
Yeah. No
that's
doubt.
crazy. That's just freaking crazy. Okay, so are you fucking done now?
Yeah. We can get back on
Okay.
track.
All right.
Yeah.
So I just want to get. I want to get to the. I want to. So we got through Canada. Are we through Canada?
Hey.
Are we? Yeah, Whitehorse, and then a couple days later. Okay, so the border crossing was a point of interest, and that's
What
because not because anything happened at the crossing, but because every year we have a border race there,
Okay.
and the idea is let's see like who's the fastest among the teams. It's this big competition, and you'll do like a men's team, a women's team, and sometimes a team with both, a co-ed team. And what happens is that Ozarks never wins because our entire summer we're just doing flat.
Yeah.
We're doing Louisiana flat as a pancake, Chicago flat as a pancake,
Right.
lots of flat in North Dakota, South Dakota, all over the place, just flat. And whenever we do the border race, usually we lose. This year was no exception, but because a few people on Ozarks had COVID, including some of our stronger riders, we decided, let's scrap this. Let's just have fun with this. Make a team of whoever you want. Doesn't matter what team they're what route they're on. Just make
You
a
had
team.
COVID on the ride.
Yeah, so both routes had COVID at some point during the summer. So
Wow.
Sierra had it towards the middle, and Ozarks had an outbreak towards the end.
Okay.
Yeah, and what we did there is we said, if you have COVID, you can't ride, you can't interact with the host, and if you got COVID within 5 days, if you're asymptomatic, you can start riding again, and within 10 days, if you're symptomatic, you can start riding again. And the entire team had to test each morning.
How sick did they get?
Most people didn't get sick. The people who did, I can't speak for them, but I think it was fairly mild.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did the ride.
So
the race.
we did a border race, but it was like just do whatever you want with whoever you want, and we had fun with that. One group of people, the real stud athletes from Sierra, did it, and they like tried to beat the record time, and I think they did for Texas 4000. Mm-hmm. We had another group of riders who were injured. So, in particular, somebody had a really bad knee injury that had haunted him the entire summer. So he said, "Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do 1 mile, and we're gonna do it. You have to be in your lowest gears." And so it's called the 1-to-1 challenge. And it's just like, how fast can you go? Just like hamster wheeling it, just like as fast as your feet can go. It was so funny to watch.
Little in the front, big in the back.
Yeah, whichever is easier. So that's little in the front, big in the back.
Yep.
Yeah, precisely. Mm-hmm. And it was a blast to watch.
That's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Man.
So we spent like
That's
5
funny.
hours at that border crossing taking pictures and doing these races and stuff. Mm-hmm. And this is particularly interesting to note because the finish line that we had in Anchorage did not feel like it was for us. It felt like it was for the parents who came to see us and the other supporters. It was just like, okay, we're gonna bike. It was like cold, drizzly day. We were having fun, but not that much fun. And then we get to the finish line. It's like this big inflatable thing. We have a police escort, but like they escorted us like through a parking lot. It was like 0.1 miles. It just felt like dumb and anticlimactic. And then we took pictures there, but again, it's raining and like there's parents there. I don't know. Just like it didn't feel the way that the Alaskan border felt. Like that felt like, wow, we're really finishing. And like we've really made it. We've really biked to Alaska.
Mm-hmm. How far is the Alaskan border from Anchorage?
Oh, I don't know. It took 5 days to get there.
Okay.
So maybe like 400 miles.
Got it, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And somebody put it best on the team, which was, it feels like school's finished, but now we're hanging out until graduation. And then you go to graduation. It's like, this isn't really for me. It's just for the parents. They're showing up.
Yeah.
Which is a really good metaphor.
Right.
Yeah, but I know talking to my dad, man, or talking to your dad, my brother, man, he freaking, for them, it was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He had a great time. Most of the parents did.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honest to God, man, I freaking hated the fact. I mean, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I wanted to go so bad.
Don't worry about it.
I know, but still, you know,
It's not about you.
it's not about me.
It's
But
not-
no,
it's not
but I
about
just,
Grant. It's not about Grant. It's about Tony. He wanted to go.
let's not. No, I was just super proud of you, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
I
I
mean,
can tell you, but
Yeah.
the first time Grant and I have met is today, and I'm proud of you. I don't even know you.
Oh,
And
thanks,
yeah,
Doug.
dude. I
think
mean,
it's
no,
awesome, man.
no, it's 1,000%. I know you're fucking with
Yeah.
me, but I know it's not about me. I mean, I just was super. I mean, I'm super proud of you, man. I mean, you know, that's a huge deal, man. It's fucking
Yeah.
huge.
Well, so just a clear point of clarification, I'm not fucking with you. I'm serious. I mean, I'm.
Yeah, oh, no, I get that.
Yeah,
I get
I'm
that.
envious.
No,
Thanks,
no, I
Doug.
get
Yeah,
that. I'm
yeah.
just talking about the whole thing about me. It's not definitely not about me, a
Yeah.
million percent. But
Yeah.
I mean, like, I even like when you got originally, like you were like, hey, I'm gonna do the Texas 4000 because I knew what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, oh, that is amazing. I'm so. It just made me freaking happy, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, of course, your father was sending out updates and saying, oh, he's in Illinois. He's here. He's there, and I followed you. You know what I mean? So you know, when he sent those pictures, man, I'm not lying, man. It was a huge impact.
That is a fun thing about doing the ride and doing bike rides in general that are epic is that
Yeah.
it has that effect on people.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember doing pikes. There were people that were like videotaping me that just like saw me. They like
Yeah.
slowed their car down, pulled out their phone, started videotaping me. There are people at the summit who did that.
Right.
And this is what reminds me of this story, is that there was somebody at the summit who said, wait, you just biked this?
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
I was like,
true.
Yeah.
whoa, like, I don't know who you are, but like,
Well,
Thank
it's like,
you.
wow, thank you.
It's
Yeah.
like that thing, yeah. And I think that's why celebrities become celebrities, right? Because they do things that other people look up to.
Right.
Most of them in my world today don't deserve it as much as people like you do. You actually are doing something, and you actually sacrificed a massive amount of your personal life
Right.
for the benefit of other people. That's awesome.
And again,
That's just awesome.
And also, we live in a world where people don't want to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it would be one thing if it was just like, hey, I got together with some friends and we rode to Alaska, which would still impress the shit out of me. But the fact that you did it with the objective of the cancer,
Yep.
and I will tell you, and again, I'll never be able to achieve what you've achieved, but even like I've done rides, that are a 100-mile ride, a 200-mile ride. And when you mention to people, yeah, what's the furthest you've ever ridden? Well, it's 200 miles. And people are like, what? It's like, well, I rode a bike the other day for 9 miles and I felt like I was going to have a coronary, and you're like, but it is, but my point is that people are capable. You know what I mean? People are much more capable of doing things than they give themselves credit for,
Yeah, sure.
And I think that's a huge message, but I was super proud. Like when your father was sending out, when he was in Alaska and he was saying, hey, I'm at the finish line and all that kind of stuff. I was just like, oh God, I wish I was there, man. I wish I was, only because just, I was super proud, man. You know what I mean? And again, we haven't really grown close until recently, because, when you went to University of Texas, and, man, and of course I love cycling, but I also love you. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Yeah. So
Thanks, Tony. Love you too.
Yeah. So anyway, finish line.
Finish line.
Anticlimactic. We've been
A little
there.
bit anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but, and everything kind of happens and you're done.
Right. Well, we had a couple days in Anchorage and then started driving the support vehicles back. Some people flew back.
Right.
I'm told that was a jarring experience because it's like one moment you're finishing this ride, lots of hugs and kisses from family. Sure. And then what took you 70 days to do takes you 8 days to fly back. And then you're in class a couple days later.
Yeah.
Like that's not a great way to end the summer.
But not you though.
Not me. So I had, I volunteered for this. I didn't have to do it, but I drove the support vehicles back and I got to go to a couple national parks, do some rides with friends. And there was a price to be paid, of course. Like I was driving like 15 hours some days, at least like 10 hours a lot of the other days. So that was rough, and those were not fun other than getting to talk to people.
Sure, yeah.
And process the ride.
I was going to ask, when you guys are riding, do you typically wear ear pods or any of that kind of stuff?
No headgear, like no earbuds or anything like that. We do listen to music using speakers.
Yeah, he's got
and
a
that's
speaker on his
huge.
bike.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, that makes the time go a lot faster.
I bet. So I bet you were on those really hard, like really tough sections. You probably just cranked up the police, I bet.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm just thinking.
Shut the fuck up. We had a podcast where we talked about like bands we didn't like.
Yeah, he doesn't like the police.
I like the police.
That's a relationship over, man.
No, but you're definitely turning up whatever music.
Yeah,
you
no,
listen
I
to.
was
yeah.
So, well, real quick before we get past Anchorage, so there you all just like everybody just kind of they were done and everybody just left, and then you guys went and grabbed the van. Was there anything going on?
Some people flew back the next day. Some people took a couple of days. Some people stayed a week or more with their family in Alaska, do like a little vacation.
Okay.
We spent 2 days. I stayed with a woman who founded a cancer society in Anchorage.
Okay.
And who is one of the people that we donate money to. And they use that money for retreats and that kind of thing. Which is always, it's always fun to visit somebody that you donate money to and hear about what they use the money for.
Yeah, no, that would be
that makes the ride like really special.
Yeah, sort of closes the circle, huh?
It does.
Yeah.
And so you get there. I wonder, like you spend 70 days on the road doing your thing. I mean, how hard was it to kind of reintegrate into the mental part of being not on the road?
Driving back was easing into it, and that was one of the reasons why I did it.
Right.
And what I mean by that is, so you're not with 40 people every day, you're with 8 people, and you're not biking every day, but you are driving, which is close, but feels different. And you're still going to host locations. So we had historic Rocky hosts that hosted us, so people who would have hosted Rockies if we'd gone up that way. So it was great to reconnect with them. It felt very meaningful. We visited a place that we donate money to called Brent's Place in Colorado. That was in Denver. And that felt very much like it had during the summer ride. And whenever we got back, it was like I had all this time to process the events. And it didn't feel as jarring as I think it could have.
Sure, yeah, because all the time to talk to those guys, and like you say, and recapping the trip and all the fun highlights.
Right.
And
It's almost like a support group.
It is. Yeah. It helps also that I'm not going to school right now.
Yeah, you're
About
graduated.
half the team is continuing their studies at University of Texas. I'm going off and I'm doing a job later. So this felt like a victory lap for me.
right.
I was actually wondering about that too, only because so much of your life right now, there's a lot of things that are happening because you graduated and then you did the ride and everything like that. Your whole life is changing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. For other people, it's not the case. They're like, what am I doing still here? Like, I felt like I had a lot of emotional closure with University of Texas because I'd done the ride.
Right.
And I'd grown a lot this summer. Other people had done the ride, grown a lot, and then found them right back where they started.
Back, yeah.
Right.
It's like, I'm familiar with that emotional sort of reaction because Tony and I both were in the military. And when I left, I left a lifestyle, I guess, as a teenager and all that. And I got, I don't know, lucky or unlucky enough to be stationed back on my first duty station kind of close to home. Mm-hmm. But the amount of growth that you go through just in basic training, and then you go out and you start doing this job in the military. And when I would go back and visit home, I'd go and visiting friends that didn't do anything. They didn't change at all. And I'm thinking like, holy mackerel, how could I have come from this only less than a year ago, Yeah. And it's crazy. And I was thinking the same thing when you're talking about at the end of the trip. You remember, Tony, getting underway and being gone for 30 or 40 days or whatever, and then you come back and all these people that you've literally lived with every single day for a couple of months, and all of a sudden, poof, you don't see them. You see other people. Yeah. And it's like it's weird. It's you have to figure out how to adjust.
It's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah. And so, but on the way back, you're kind of, like I said, you really are kind of riding with your support group.
Right. And there's actually a name that we have for the set of emotions that come with finishing the ride.
Yeah.
And that's post-ride depression.
Okay.
Sure.
And not everybody gets it. Some people have it in varying intensities.
Right.
For me, it was like that feeling of having lost like these very, very close friends was mitigated by doing the drive back. Mm-hmm. But I know some people, it's been very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to project a little here, but I think what you'll find is that as you reconnect with those people over the course of the next year or two, that will go away some and start to solidify those friendships more. And that's how me and this knucklehead have been friends for so doggone long.
I know.
There you go. Yeah.
I mean, there's times where I was like, "Don't call me."
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, "I'm
calling.
going to call you." And it's like, "Why are you sitting in the car in front of my house?" So no,
that's kind of creepy.
It's a little creepy, but whatever. No, I agree. But and also it's interesting because you talk about I think about cycling, and I think again, Doug and I have talked about this, and we've made comparisons like motorcycling, like when you do like a big ride, when you do like an epic, just one day or maybe a couple of days, it's almost like there's like an overload of visual and auditory and even olfactory stimuli and all the interaction you're having with people. It's almost like like you just get kind of this massive overload of everything. You know what I mean? Like suddenly just so much goes in. And I've done those rides where like I've done a huge amount of distance on one day, and I lay down at night and it's like my brain can't stop. You know what I mean? Like there's just so much I'm having to process. I can't even imagine what that would be like, having to deal with that 70 days in a row.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, and the fact that you're right that it's almost like, and I think it's a bad. Maybe it's not the best comparison, but it's like that whole foxhole thing. Like, everybody, you're all in the same foxhole together. You know what I mean? You're dealing with the same stress, the same discomfort. Yeah. And I can see how that would be. I can see how you would, and also I can see how it would be anticlimactic because now, there is no way that you can do something like that. They could have had freaking flyover jets and fireworks and, whales jumping over you and shit. And it still wouldn't have been enough, man.
I don't know. I would have taken the whales.
The whales would have been something. But free willies jumping over your shit, and you're like, nah, still. But yeah, I can see how it would be,
Yeah.
And but the friends you're going to make, the friends you've made.
Yeah. That's like seeds. You planted seeds, dude, and they're going to grow over a long period of time. Yeah,
I can tell you,
it's going to be awesome.
There's people that have like walked on the moon, and they're kind of like, well, there's only a few of us that have done this. You're kind of in that world, like where I've ridden a bike, 70 miles from Texas to Alaska. You're in rarefied air.
Yeah.
Well, it's cool because that's why the alumni network is so strong. Just because you can reach out to somebody. For instance, I'm moving to San Francisco.
Yeah.
So there's a couple alumni who live there, and I can reach out to them, and they're immediately receptive to me because they know exactly what I've done this summer.
Common bond. Yep.
Yeah. That shared experience is amazing.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And it's also a set of people where built into your relationship is vulnerability in the sense that on those Monday meetings I described earlier, that are a couple hours long, it's just accepted that at some point you're going to go up there and you're gonna share your story.
Sure.
That's part of why you're joining is to share your story and to hear other people's.
Yep.
They're probably looking forward to doing it.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so when you're on the bike with somebody, you can ask them, hey, tell me about like your worst memory, or like tell me about your mom who passed away. And there's no hesitation there. There's no questions asked. It's just, that's what we do. We're Texas 4000. Like we're here for each other. We're here to dig into those emotions and to dig into how cancer's affected us, or just like anything that's hurt us in the past.
Yeah, and that's a lot deeper, more meaningful conversation than you get sitting in the coffee room, right? And having a coffee break.
Exactly.
With somebody like, you watched TV last night, so it's the connection goes way deeper.
And let me ask you, okay, and again, you don't have to answer this, but what was your highest high and what was your lowest low?
I mean, I told you about one of the hardest rides, which was the 140-mile day.
Yeah.
Other one was the 160-mile day. As terms of highest highs, I don't know. Like, what comes to mind is all those people and places that I described to you as my favorite places. And it really is the people that you meet that make the ride. It's nothing more exciting than sitting down with somebody and having a really great connection with them. And I could describe to you like the prettiest rides that we've done, but that doesn't cut it, Like the best stuff was actually like sitting down with a host in Paducah and hearing their story about how they had gone through cancer and how they'd gone through chemotherapy and how Texas 4000 had entered their lives and how they've been helped by them. And that's really what's made the summer meaningful and special to me.
It's the human connection, man. It's the human
100%.
connection. Yep.
Yeah. And so you travel back. You did Pikes Peak. You did a couple other rides. What else did you do?
I did a ride in Banff, from Banff National Park in Canada to Lake Louise, which is about 40 miles away. And when we got to Lake Louise, I jumped in the water, and that was cold water. Wisconsin is not cold water. That was pretty cold.
Right.
Yeah. Very fun ride. And that was the first one I'd done outside of Texas 4000.
Right.
So I wore a different jersey. In fact, my friend and I, we both bought matching jerseys that day on sale.
Okay.
And it was great. No other rides on the way back, though. It was just those two.
Okay.
But Banff was beautiful. I had a 2014 Rockies alumni told me that was his favorite ride of the summer. It was going actually the opposite direction, Lake Louise to Banff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any stories you wanted to tell that we haven't talked about?
I mean, I don't know if I can pull anything.
Well,
off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's fine. I just want to make sure we didn't miss
There's nothing
anything.
digested rearing to say. No.
Yeah.
I don't think
Any
so.
questions that you wanted me to ask that I didn't ask, or we didn't ask? So.
No, I think
I
it's
don't think
covered.
so.
Huh?
Yeah, it's an amazing story, man.
Yeah.
It's an amazing story.
It is.
I can tell you right now, that I know, like I said, I know I'm proud of you. I know our family's proud of you. I know your dad is super proud of you.
Beaming. Yeah.
Yeah, I know if your mom up, wherever she is up in heaven looking down, she's super proud of you, man. I mean, that was all about her. You know what I mean? So it's just huge.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, anything I forgot?
No, man. I know, like we were saying before, we joke around a lot, but in all seriousness, I mean, I think you've accomplished something pretty awesome, and that gives me hope for your generation. That there's still people out there your age. No, I'm not even joking. Like there's people that your age that are still willing to do that and still understand that sometimes delayed gratification is much greater than instant gratification. And so that gives me hope for your generation.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, no, I think it's great, man. I really do. Yeah.
100%. And I was going to mention, and this is real quick, you are now a lifelong cyclist?
Pretty much, yeah. Well, I joke that I've turned into the stereotypical cyclist because I've started drinking beer. I drink a lot of coffee.
All right.
And I cycle all the time now.
Yeah, see, there's a reason people do those things.
Yes,
Yeah.
there is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I brought a thing of caffeine pills with me because I wasn't sure if I would always have access to coffee.
Yep. See,
Because you don't know where you're sleeping or where you're waking up on the
Yeah.
ride. So
Dude,
yeah.
today we put new tires on his bike, and we talked about recovery drinks, and not recovery, and electrolyte drinks. So,
True.
you know, so,
yeah. Love electrolyte.
man, super proud
Cool.
of you, man.
Yep.
Yeah. So
No, that's awesome. So one last time. So if anybody wants to donate money or help in some way, where can they go to get info?
It's texas4000.org.
yeah,
Okay. And I don't think you're going to find a better organization to support.
you bet,
So
100%.
awesome. Well, thanks, Grant.
Cool,
Thanks
yeah.
for coming. Yeah.
Yeah,
you
thank you very
both.
much. This has been a great experience, and and so we'll kind of leave it there. And this has been Tony talking to you, and Doug,
Yeah. Mostly Tony.
mostly Tony, and
I got it.
yeah, and I'll end it on and seeing that I edit this thing too, I'll just say that
Yeah.
you know.
That's probably not going to end up.
It will. All right, thanks again, everybody, for listening.
All right,
And you have
see ya.
Yep. Bye.
This has been an Analog Spectrum production and presentation. All you Spectrum maniacs out there, whatever platform you're using, are you following us? If not, why not? Following us is one small step for a man or a woman, but it is a giant leap for humankind. And it really helps get our small but ever-expanding show out there, too. Also, please listen to all the episodes, or at least the ones you think might interest you. If you like it, then share it. Spread that positive Analog Spectrum vibe. It's a great way to show your friends and family how much you care. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't get a big kick out of seeing our numbers steadily rise. Finally, leave a comment and rate our show and the episode. 5 stars are always appreciated. Moreover, we want to hear from you. Share your show ideas and ask your questions. We'll even answer your questions on the show if you'd like. You can email us at analogspectrum, that's all one word, @gmail.com. If you tweet, then tweet at us. That's @analogspectrum. Finally, we have a Facebook group. I don't do much on there, but I watch it like a hawk. You put something on there, and I'll see it. Again, thanks for listening, and we hope you have a great day.